The husband who abandoned me and my twin children believed he was the winner. But one day, a truth revealed on television reduced his pride to ashes. I never made the mistake of seeing myself as a victim. Not even on the day my husband, Eric, left me and our newborn twins behind. We lived in a small suburban house outside Chicago. From the outside, everything looked fine. The lawn was trimmed, an SUV sat in the driveway, and Christmas lights decorated the roof every winter. But our life wasn't the kind people showed on Instagram. I still had student loans hanging over my head. Eric constantly worried about contributing enough to his 401k. We planned every grocery trip carefully. We were just another ordinary American family. Then one day, his mother started a game. She was wealthy and spent years convincing her son that he was destined for something greater, and that I was the obstacle standing in his way. Just 2 weeks after our twins were born, Eric looked at me and said, "I don't want this life anymore." I stayed silent. He picked up a suitcase and walked out. He thought he had won. In reality, the game had only begun. The next day I stopped crying. On the third day I created a budget. A week later I met with a lawyer. 2 weeks later I started gathering documents. I worked as a nurse at a hospital. I pulled 12-hour shifts and then came home to take care of the babies. At night, after both children were asleep, I opened my laptop. I wasn't reacting. I was planning. The first move in the game was information. I pulled records from our joint bank accounts. I reviewed credit card statements. I collected tax returns. Then I noticed something strange. For months, Eric had been transferring money into a separate account. The amounts weren't large enough to attract immediate attention. But they were consistent, organized, deliberate. He thought no one would ever connect the dots. I said nothing. Silence was my strongest move. Thanksgiving arrived. I was in a small apartment with the twins. He was carving turkey at his mother's mansion, posting smiling photos online. People commented, "You look so happy." I looked at the picture and put my phone away. The game continued. A few months later, the divorce proceedings began. In court, Eric portrayed himself as a struggling man. He claimed his income was limited. He said he couldn't afford much child support. He insisted he had very few assets. I remained silent. My lawyer simply nodded. We both knew the timing wasn't right yet. Christmas passed. A new year arrived. Then fate placed an extra card in my hand. One afternoon, a local news channel was playing in the hospital break room. The report was about a new tech startup. I glanced at the screen and immediately sat up straight. One of the founders shown on the screen was named Eric Johnson. My husband, or almost my ex-husband. The report explained that the company had secured millions of dollars in investment funding. Journalists called it an overnight success. Smiled. Because I knew it wasn't overnight at all. I reopened every document. I matched dates. I traced transfers. I reviewed business registration records. And suddenly the entire picture became clear. The secret account receiving those transfers had been funding the startup from the very beginning. While Eric was telling the court he had little money, he was secretly investing in a growing company. And every transaction existed in legal records. No one had connected them. Now someone had. I didn't rush back to court. Every good move requires timing. For months we prepared. Forensic accountants were hired. Financial experts examined every detail. Every dollar was tracked. Every date was documented. No emotions, only facts. Then the day arrived. Television channels were featuring interviews with Eric. His company had become a national success story. He saw himself as a champion. That same week we had another court hearing. My lawyer placed a thick file on the judge's desk. The judge turned page after page. Then looked directly at Eric. The room became silent. The kind of silence louder than shouting. "Did you disclose these investments?" the judge asked. Eric tried to answer. Words failed him. The evidence was stronger. A few weeks later, the ruling was issued. The hidden assets were recalculated. Child support was adjusted. Financial penalties were imposed. Most importantly, the court record became public. There was no dramatic speech. No revenge-filled confrontation. Only the truth. And the truth is often the most dangerous weapon of all. A few days later, I was sitting in the hospital break room again. The same television was on. This time the story was different. The news anchor reported that the celebrated tech entrepreneur had been found guilty of concealing financial information during legal proceedings. Eric's face appeared on the screen. The confidence was gone. The arrogance was gone. He didn't look like a winner anymore. He looked like a man who had overturned his own chessboard. A coworker sitting beside me asked, "Do you know him?" I looked at the screen for a moment. Then I glanced at the photo of my twins on my phone's wallpaper. "I used to," answered, and I turned off the television. The game was over. I hadn't destroyed him. I had simply arranged his own moves in the right order. The truth had done the rest.